Welcome to your Monday, March 31st meeting with Katelyn, Carly, and Clare Fulton. We've got an audience here live and another 30 or 40 or so online as well. As always, how has the week been? It's only been 6 days since we last connected, but how's it been, or who ran open houses?
I think it's a PA day for the kids too, right?
Okay. Yes.
All the parents are on.
PA day again on Monday?
Yeah.
On a Monday.
On a Monday.
Is it just Durham?
The Monday of.
Oh, they get to eat for
Durham,
Monday?
York. Okay, so Durham region. Yeah. Pravesh, what did you say Saturday? You ran open house?
It's only Durham.
Which listing? Minden? Milton. How did it go?
Saturday I was extremely busy.
Busy Saturday for 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yes.
Did you mean to do it 3 hours?
Sorry?
Did you book it for 3 hours, or was it a 2 hour
okay.
that turned into 3 hours?
No,
Okay.
3 hours.
Okay, that's
Wow.
okay. Why not?
So many people came in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got one offer also already.
Okay, so it's for your listing.
Yeah.
And one offer. Good. And not holding offers?
I'm not holding.
Oh.
You're not holding offers?
No.
How many showings you got? Or like,
Showings are not that many.
but open houses?
Like every day average 2 or 3.
2 or 3 days? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how many people do your open house?
I think about more than 12 families, couples,
Mm-hmm.
families.
That's all right.
So what's the list price on that one?
1.125.
1.125.
Is it
And
renovated?
which,
Yes. fully
Okay.
renovated.
and what's your target price?
That is
Target. He's not holding.
Very good market price.
Okay. Just so I know the strategy. So people need to know the strategy. Do you price low, price high, price at market value? So you price at market value?
Correct.
And you got an offer from the open house or from the showings?
No, it was from the showing. But then
They came with their
That's a good
their
deal.
agent after?
Yeah, sometimes the open house is like a second showing for someone.
People mind right now that they don't wanna give a good price, even though this is a very good market price. Property is very nice, but
They still want a
They
deal.
still want a
So-
they
deal.
don't wanna give a price.
So
Yeah.
for those at home that maybe can't hear, that we had about 14 couples you said on Saturday in Milton for 1.125
2.5.
property, and you got an offer from somebody that went to the open house, that came back with their agent, but then you're telling me that they didn't give you a good price?
No.
But you can.
The buyers
And
are.
why it's important, because you asked the market value, you didn't have offer date, now you get an offer that's not.
But maybe it's a starting offer. Not
Did you
everyone's going to
negotiate
start
back and
off.
forth?
They sent me one of the comparable property, which was sold in January, and but I know those people, like my community people, they are like suckers and they want to.
I don't think that's just your community.
That's not just your
No,
community.
this is
That's all the
This
communities.
is human nature.
They want to start very low.
Yeah.
Then
All right.
yesterday they sent me one of the comparable property,
Yeah.
and then they argue that this is the price. Why you are asking this and
Sure.
that?
Did you sign back?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I talked to Nelson as well. We started verbally first. So I sent yesterday 20 points of comparables that why my property
Yeah.
deserves this much.
That's okay.
Why no sign back? Curious.
Because the guy said that let's talk verbally because we don't want to spend a lot of time on this doing
To make
sign back
$30,000.
because They have some set mind.
Which guy you talked to? Which guy?
He's saying the agent,
The other agent.
the cooperating agent. He's saying, let's do something verbally.
Buying agent.
No. Is it the agent that's buying the house?
No.
So why didn't you take the sign back?
Yeah.
But he wanted to have a verbal.
Interesting. In Sirhan coaching, they would have recommended a sign back.
I like a good sign back too. I always like signing back. I never
Just
let a
to
deal
kinda
die in my hands. I'll always sign it back. Yeah.
Sign the out.
Yeah.
You still could change the irrevocable if you
Yeah.
want. Work with what you got.
Does everyone else agree? What it was, or would everyone same thing kind of verbally until it doesn't
I
work?
never want.
So
Sign back?
everybody at home here, same thing. I'm not sure if you can hear it or not, but the suggestion was that the buying agent wanted to do verbal back and forth and didn't want to waste any time. And the question is that the right way to do it, or do we sign it back?
I think if you're making a $20,000 paycheck, I think that's worth the time.
It's not even about that. It's more just like keeping it alive, keeping it going. This thing could take a whole week. I don't think it's done yet for you. We're going to regroup on Monday. I bet you're going to get it done in a couple days. But
Yeah, a lot of offers these days are taking like
Yeah.
6 signbacks to get
Yeah.
an agreement.
Yeah.
yeah,
Back and
overnight and sleep on it and then bring it again. You know, that's what we're seeing. It takes a long time. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting though.
Sign me.
We're all
Sign
like,
back,
change your
sign
local,
back.
Sign back.
Maybe the buyer knows they can't afford a nickel more than what they offer too. So
Maybe.
he's,
Probably.
So he's,
Yeah.
you know, but
He's
you know.
just warning you, don't waste your time. But yeah.
It is rare for a buyer though to give their best offer up front unless
Yeah.
they're actually even in competition. They still don't give their best offer most of the time.
No, just to get buyers comfortable, you kind of want to start them at a point where they feel good about, just to get the ball rolling a little bit, right? And then they get into it.
So I'm going to stick to this for a second here. So he gave you his comparables, saying this is what it's worth, and then you have your comparables, right? Did you give him your comparables as well?
Yes.
He gave the
Yeah, he said he
I
did.
said
No, he both
20
did.
points yesterday. That's
Yeah.
why I
Okay.
deserve this price.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. now
Because
we're
we
selling.
talked about this a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
right? Where the two
Close the
agents,
gap.
the two agents, like get close the gap, right? Like how do you close the gap, and what do you do in that case? It's $30,000 on a $1.125 million property. It's not that far off.
I received the same agent.
Yeah, go ahead, get it done. Let's get this deal done live.
Tell them the sign back's coming.
We'll bring the camera with you. This is live coaching right here.
I mean, there's something about the human nature when they got something in writing
Yes,
and they have
I agree.
irrevocable dates and they have like deadlines.
Yeah. I think the woo-woo part of it too is you're putting something on paper and putting it out to the world. Like, we're serious. Let's try to make something happen, right? Like, this is contract.
Well, he said it was $30,000 apart. Or was it more? He didn't
Well,
say that.
we're maybe telling a story now. I'm not sure what the real.
So more than 30K?
It ended up being 25. My
Oh,
recommendation
yeah.
to him was to sign it back.
Yeah. I had a feeling. I had a feeling
For
that
those
was
online,
not
Nelson's putting it
right.
on record. He also advised a sign back.
You know,
My position.
I had a feeling.
Nelson.
I had a feeling.
Sign it back. You want today.
Yeah.
All right, that's
That
the
didn't
lesson.
sound very Nelson.
That's the lesson this morning. Sign it back.
See something back from the seller. You have to sign it
Exactly.
back. So that
Yes.
was my position for the record.
We're signing it back right now.
Yeah, we're signing back.
We're signing it back right now. He's got his laptop ready.
Okay, and then it's a suggestion that you sign
knew
it. Nelson, you sign it back at full price, or do you give a
No,
little?
we did a little bit of an adjustment.
You do a little bit of
I mean, it's
adjustment.
worth- Anyway.
Just to show them some
Yeah,
flexibility,
sure.
right?
We're willing
Yeah.
to work, right? We did
Yeah.
about $5,000.
Yeah, that's the right thing.
down
Yeah.
fee, because they started very far as well.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
wanted to show that, hey, you know what? Although you're really far, we're still going to play with you.
Exactly.
And we did about a $5,000 reduction on our sign. What
Yeah.
was supposed to be the sign back, and then I heard this morning it never happened.
I think they can hear Nelson probably, right?
Yeah.
He's usually loud enough.
So I think if you're going to list a property and not hold offers, you just list slightly above it because you know their offers are going to come in under, and then you just got to negotiate
Yeah.
under the ask price. But sign backs are necessary.
Yeah. Are you guys seeing the same thing? Is it taking a while to get an offer through? Like,
Yeah.
it's taking some time, right? It's not just an overnight thing.
An offer is an offer. If you get an offer, like you should be thrilled.
So on the weekend, I'm aware of another property in the weekend there that not our agent, another agent there, he had his offer date last Wednesday, whatever it was, and then the offer date came and passed, put it back on the market, he jacked the price up $350,000, but didn't take out the May 24th offer date.
Yeah.
So pay attention to the comments and the broker remarks. I mean, you still have an offer date that came and passed, unless he did it on purpose. I don't know. But,
Sometimes they have nothing to hide.
Here's the other side of the coin here too.
Oh, Peter's educating.
When you're working with the buyer and he's giving you a ridiculously low offer, you gotta tell him, say, you run the risk of pissing off the seller.
Fair.
And they won't give you a sign back. And you know, you're not.
Which is probably what
you're never
happened.
gonna get the house if you get the guy pissed off. So you gotta play both sides.
Yeah, that's Peter West in the background just explaining too. You got to explain to the cooperating agent, if the offer's too low, we're going to risk insulting my seller. Are you sure you really want to do that? Let's work together on this. Start a little higher and let's get something
Or
going.
even as the co-op agent working with the buyers, that's how you can talk to them, is telling them,
Yeah.
yes, you can offer low, but they're going to think you're not serious about it.
okay, so I have a situation a long time ago, so the person's not here, but anyways, we had somebody that was trying to represent their buyer. And they put in one offer and lost, second offer lost, third offer, fourth offer, fifth offer, sixth, seventh offer. And eventually what happened is the buyer fired them because we're getting the offers for them. And what they're trying to do for the buyer was save them money. But it backfired because the buyer's thinking you can't negotiate anything. You know, you're getting that? So the buying agent's got to be careful here too. And the stats are the stats. They're black and white. I don't know why the buying agent and selling agent are opposite ends. The facts are the facts. I mean, here's the comparables. You can't argue. There they are. So how can one guy come in and say the comparable is worth $1 million and the other guy's comparable comes in worth $1.2 million? Like how's the
Some
same?
people have really different
the
opinions
same
about
numbers.
what constitutes a comparable. Like they're trying to tell their story. They're going to cherry pick the one that tells that story, and both sides do that too, right?
And I get back to the same thing here. Somehow we got in our heads that it's an investment, it's a stock market, and it's not. You're buying the house for the little girl to have in her little bedroom overlooking the park, and the school's just down the corner. You're selling that style. It's not just money, right? So it's the whole lifestyle thing.
Well, that's what Sirhan's talking about, zooming out and reminding people of the big picture and what they're trying to
And
accomplish.
so we're talking about closing the gap. So the buying agent closing the gap should say, oh, by the way, we're only $30,000 difference, and you know, the ridiculous, what's that, a cup of coffee a day or whatever, you can go through all the ridiculous things. But you're going to get the reasons why you bought that house in the first place. You're going to get the bedroom you want. You're going to get the kitchen that you want. You're going to get like whatever it might be. So somehow they got to work together. It's not, you know.
We're not against each other.
No. And then somebody might, I don't know. That's just my thought.
Yeah, it's true. The other, while we're just talking about street level stuff, the other trend I'm seeing right now is sellers not taking accountability for the repairs or things that are wrong in their home. Like they just are so prideful, and like you'll do an inspection and you'll call out some pretty major things and like, well, I don't care, we're not fixing it. It's the price. We're not reducing the price, we're not doing anything. It's like, well, this is your
happened to
house.
us last week where we did a home inspection on a condo and the pipes under the sink were connected by moving tape.
Packing tape.
Like was
literal-
wrapped around it. And the dad and our agent found it actually, and the dad. And we were like, oh, we brought it up to sell, like, never seen it before, it's always worked. They pretended like they had no idea.
Okay, we're not blaming
It's very
you.
obvious.
We get it. Maybe you didn't know, but you still have a duty to fix it or take some accountability to make this thing happen.
I think the lock was like a little budged. She's like, I'm not fixing that. We're like, these are like such simple, like the property manager will come fix it. You don't need to fix it.
Yeah,
But,
so
like,
if you're working with sellers, they got to take a
make
little
the
bit
buyer's experience a little more
Yes.
enjoyable for
Yeah,
them.
take some, and if they want top dollar, then you really got to make sure your things are working and take some accountability.
Same with TV mounts. That seems to be one as well. Like
That's always
someone
fun.
wants a TV mount, but the sellers want to take the TV mount, but they don't want to fix the giant hole they're about to leave. So it's like, okay, we'll leave the mount and then don't fix it and go buy a new one.
No.
Or fix the hole. And like that seems to be a fight more often than it should be, to be honest. But it's wild what you see out there.
TV mounts are worth more than the TVs now.
It's true. The TVs are cheap right now.
Yeah. But you gotta choose. Are you gonna fix the hole or are you gonna
That's
take
right.
them out?
No, it's true. Yeah, lots of things to consider. Anyone online comment on anything, open houses or questions or tales? It's okay if not.
Sign it back.
He's on the phone.
You can report back after.
Okay, so the big elephant in the room. So we got a new election coming in soon. I guess I don't know if we'll have the same prime minister or new prime minister, but does that have any effect on anybody, or is everybody more concentrated on the business down in the south?
I think it has a little effect, yeah. Again, it's adding to the uncertainty. I don't think it's negative or positive. But
During election time?
No,
Not
no.
this much.
It does slow down. I said before, it does slow down about 10% for Ramadan, and happy Eid to everybody here that's doing. I guess that would have been on Saturday night or last night.
yeah,
This weekend?
30th, yeah.
So there is a bit of slowdown for that for sure. And then school, you said like
During
school
elections?
yourself.
I feel like it always
During
does.
elections, I don't know.
I feel like it always does. I had a couple conversations this morning with a couple different people, and they were saying there's too much going around, too much uncertainty.
Too much confusion, right?
Yeah.
Trump with interest rates, with
Yeah.
the elections, so like we don't know what's going to happen. We
Yeah.
just want it all to play out.
So if you pay attention to the election stuff, everybody's throwing money all over the place, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice that? Like all of a sudden the
Capital
liberals are
gains.
conservatives.
Yeah.
The conservatives are talking about no tax on capital gains if you reinvest it.
Yep.
They're talking about no GST or something for first-time buyers on something, and like everybody, I don't know who said what, but they're just throwing money everywhere just trying to get votes.
Yeah, liberals are trying to lower the tax bracket by 1%. Conservatives are trying to cut taxes on work, housing, energy, and investments. NDP wants to remove GST from essentials like food and heating and pay for it with big taxes on big companies. And then liberals are canceling the capital gains thing. Like, they're all doing something.
who knows? But I think everybody's worried about jobs. I think that back in the 90s, it was jobs more than anything else.
I think as it relates to housing, that is the main concern is job
Yeah.
security.
Because they don't want to buy a house and then lose their
Interest
job.
rates are lower. We can get over that. Tariffs, you can kind of get around that too, depending on your employment. But it's your employment when you're making a decision to buy or sell a house. I think that's impacting people right now. And I actually don't have anything to overcome that. I think it's a valid concern.
Carney is saying that he's gonna build every year 500,000 houses.
Great.
And this morning he said, CMHC, he said with all due respect, he didn't actually like it, he's gonna restructure it.
CMHC?
Yeah, CMHC.
Yeah, some people complain about CMHC. So what somebody here says that Liberals are saying that they want to build 500,000 houses a year. I think what was it before? It was 150,000 a year, wasn't it, for 10 years or something there? But anyways, hopefully he does it. And sorry, the other part was
CMHC, and they're doing a lot of incentives right now for developers.
So they've complained about CMHC for a long time now because they're saying, why is CMHC offering insurance to private companies?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what's the purpose of that? Like why do banks have to have CMHC mortgages? And in fact, if you ever notice, if you go to CMHC, for Ann here, if you have a CMHC mortgage and you want an appraisal, they'll do a drive-by appraisal and sort of rubber stamp it if you're a high ratio mortgage, which means CMHC is going to protect the banks. If you have a traditional mortgage, you have to get a full appraisal because the banks don't want to take the risk. So that sort of talks about what Liberals saying. Like why is the government taking the risk? Why aren't the banks taking the risk?
Yeah.
So
They put more down, they need an appraiser.
The point is that you put more down, and you have to have an appraiser, and you have more rules to jump because it's not insured. So they're at the same breath though. CMHC's the default rate is pretty low.
Yeah, true. But then OFFI is how do you say it? OFFI. They're trying to restructure their whole stress test, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah,
So we'll
got
talk
that
about that
here.
a little bit too. Right?
All right. And then as far as Trump goes, I think the biggest problem I think in for us is automotive, and they're talking about automotive employs 500,000 people or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't see Trump doing something on, was it April 2nd? I wouldn't be surprised if he delays it till our election's over. I wouldn't be surprised if he reduces the Canadian automobile tariffs to 2.5%, not 25%. And I think that there's just they can't turn overnight.
No.
I know what he's trying to do, but they can't turn overnight.
Yeah.
So if he's and then Canada, we have to start making our own cars, right?
Yeah. We have the power to do it. There's no reason why we can't.
Well, I think we're making automobiles in Honda is in Alliston. Aren't they making the cars from beginning to end? So I mean, it can be done already.
We have the space. We have the labor.
GM.
So I think it'd be fun.
I have friends in LA that are sending me billboards. Like there's Canadian government are investing in ads in the U.S. about all of this political stuff as well. So there's funded by Canada, but they're trying to advertise out there too. Well, they know there's a lot of Canadians there too, right? It's not.
Why are we spending money? It's probably like 50,000.
Just awareness, right? Making
I don't know why they do it in California. California's a Democrat state, but they should be
Like
doing
Florida.
They should be doing it down in Florida.
Yeah, it's true.
So as of sales right now, we've got about 24,700 active listings, all right? And 11,400 are condos, 13,300 are freeholds. Vacancy of the 24,700 active listings, there's 9,100 that are vacant, or 27%. 28% of condominiums are vacant, and 27% of freeholds are vacant. So it's pretty much across the board about 27%, right? Sales over 101. I want to know what multiple offers are doing for. So sales that went for over 101%, things that went for over asking. Of the properties that have sold so far, 27% of the properties of all properties sold for over asking. So it tells me that 27% of the properties out there that are low priced are selling.
Yeah.
So it's still a strategy. I think at one time it was 50% at one time.
It was
so now it's
higher,
like 20% now. So it's down quite a bit. Breaking it down, same thing. It's 34% of freeholds have been sold over asking, and only 17% of condos have sold for over asking. So if you're in the condo market, it's a different market again. So if the condo market's, because it's so easy to do price per square foot on the comparables, it's pretty hard to over or underprice it and see what happens. I don't know. Anyways, it's there. So sales, 156 per day. So it's up a little bit there. Compared to the first 28 days in February, we had 146 per day. So we're actually up 7% from February. So that's good news, right?
Yes.
Even though the sales are down Did I say what sales are down yet?
No, you just kind of.
I kinda skipped that
We
one?
just, the headlines are going to tell you this week, so you'll find out. Don't worry.
No, I'll say it anyway. Sales themselves are down 27%. Down 27% freeholds, down 28% for condos. So we kind of expected that anyways, right? And I believe that's just to do 100% with, because we dropped the rates last month, right, quarter point. I think it has 100% with uncertainty about what's going on.
Yeah.
Leases, 17,000 active leases, 10,000 are condos, 7,000 are freeholds. The leases are actually up 14%. Condo leases are up 17%. So even though the condo market's down or rentals are down, the actual rents are up 17% from last year.
Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons for that.
Okay, and but the freehold leases are only up 6%, and we compare the first 28 days in February compared to March, leases were up actually 28%. So they've gone away from buying properties to leasing.
The good thing is that it's more affordable to do rentals, so it's a good thing. I took a look just for fun. I read a stat online that I didn't believe. It was related to how many condos are for sale versus freeholds in Toronto, and I needed to prove it out, and in fact it was wrong, but just for your curiosity, I looked at out of the 11,000 condos that are available, where are they all? Because I'm curious where they're standing. So in Durham, there's only 400 condo listings, and that explains why places like Pickering, Whitby, Ajax, those condos, the prices are holding stable a little bit because there's less inventory out that way. So anyone that wants to stay in those areas in a condo, their prices are relatively, stable because there's not a lot of listings. In all of York, there's 1,400, and all of Peel, there's 1,600 condos. And in only CO1, Toronto, there's 1,700 condo listings.
Downtown
So that is,
Toronto.
and that makes sense because of the core and the urbanness of it, but that's a lot of condo listings for one little small community versus an entire region that they're matching, right? So that's why if you're doing downtown condos, you're going to see those prices a little bit, they're going down, whereas your other areas probably are holding a little bit more stable just because of the inventory levels in those areas. But yeah. So we're in a new month soon. We'll get the stats this week, and they're not going to be rosy, right? So they are good according to if we look at it differently, right?
When's the next interest?
16th of April, right?
Yeah, I'm reading conflicting things about that. I'm reading that inflation is not enough. They're going to just hold the rates now, but then I'm also reading on the other side that they are going to keep decreasing as much as the uncertainty lies. So I don't know, Vran and Claire, are you going to?
I think they're going to wait to see what happens with April 2nd. Because I've got articles here saying that banks fully prepared to do 6 consecutive quarter point rate cuts if we find things are tough
Yeah.
with the economy.
Yeah, but then Scotiabank came out with their analysis saying that they don't believe because of inflation levels that the central bank will be able to do that. So yeah, I think you're right. Until April 2nd, we won't really know. But yeah. You can keep going if you've got something.
New home
there.
sales. Yike.
Yike. Oh yeah.
Yike.
Guess how many? You could count them.
Guess how many guess how many condos sold in February pre-construction?
5.
Pretty close. Pretty close. There's almost 17,000 pre-construction condos unsold right now.
Oof.
And in February they sold 342.
Still pretty good.
To say location, is it Toronto?
Better than 5.
I read that only one sold in Toronto, and the rest were in like outside, like
Durham.
Yeah, I don't know if that's if we're reading the same article or not, but yeah, I read that.
How well for freehold is this related?
Freehold was the, unfortunately, and just so you know, sticking to the condos for a minute, February 22, so we're comparing February 22, they sold 3,192, February 25, they sold 152. For the freeholds, there are, how many?
Yeah, I don't have the info on freeholds, but
This
I
is
mean,
mostly, I guess they're concentrating on condos.
yeah, I mean, we know why. Like even in the condo world,
Yeah, so yeah, there was freeholds. There's 248 sold, but there was 4,800 available.
Yeah, because I know at Markham they just launched, Fieldgate just launched that. Kennedy and Major Mackenzie, and there was like probably 100 cars.
yeah. I think that pocket, there's still certain pockets that will be desirable, and Fieldgate's a good developer too, so people know that. And as long as they've priced it according to resale, they'll do okay. But all of the other starts that launched were priced, future pricing, and that's why they're not closing now. So if the new one launching today is going to price according to resale, they'll do okay. But yeah.
So on the single-family detached, Kari mentioned there was one single-family detached house that sold in Toronto.
But that
One, yeah.
I mean, that's an inventory thing too. Like, it depends on what. Like, there's not many of them available.
They
in
saw a
Toronto,
building too, didn't they?
Yeah, it's mostly condos now in Toronto, right? I had a mortgage broker ask me last week, "Well, isn't your brokerage? Don't they have tons of failed closings?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, we're negotiating with builders. We're paying more money. We're paying what they need to. I don't think as a brokerage, I haven't heard a ton of people come to me and say we can't close. I've heard of people furthering the delay of the completion, which is helping people save longer. I've heard of people negotiating with builders, working with other lenders to get different types of financing. I've heard a lot of creative solutions. So.
I'm aware of one person that's prepared to walk away from 120 grand.
Yeah, and that's what I'm reading, because the loss of completing it would be more, because you're going to chase market value for the next 7 years. So a lot of people are taking the hit right now as opposed to spreading it out, because they know that's going to take that long to recoup.
It'll be more with the monthly payments and all that too.
Yeah, they know they're going to lose, so it's just lose now.
Does
as
anybody
opposed to
here have
7
any
years.
clients that are pre-construction having a hard time closing? We
Use assignment. Is that because they can't close?
660. He's listing it at now 599.
Yeah.
Not sure when the closing is going to be. Probably later this spring or summer. And I don't know how much longer you can hold on to. You might end up swapping.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people.
So does he have to make a further deposit? Is that what's it?
The deposit's already paid off. It's just he can't close on it.
But closing's not for a while, right?
Yeah.
What's he got to change to get it?
50C fees is about 4,500 a month.
Occupancy 4,500.
That's huge, eh?
I have a client in Bowmanville. Appraisal came in 150,000 less on the condo.
Yeah. And so do they close or do they walk away?
He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. It's a
They
hard
give
call.
him a VTB for extra $30,000 on fees. Lender fee, broker fee.
The builder offered a $30,000 VTB, but $30,000 in fees to give a VTB.
So he needs 70,000. He's short 70,000. He came up with the difference, but they gave him $100,000. So he needs to take $100,000 VTB to cover the fees for the 70,000.
So they're going to give him 100 grand, and they're going to give him $70,000 to pay for themselves the rest of their fees. And that's the builder wanting to do that.
So I'm reading that too, that some builders are just out for blood. They're going to charge you for that assignment, for the extension, and that some builders are actually being respectable and working with you because they know the PR. They want to make it. They don't want to have units unsold just sitting on the market. But yeah, it's really critical to choose a right builder, because there's some that are really out for blood and just being. They're really taking advantage of people for sure. It's not right, actually. Yeah, but that's scary, and we're going to see more of that impact throughout this whole year, I think.
I think we're going to see a lot of those in Bowmanville.
In Bowmanville, yeah. Yeah, interesting.
And then Cottage Country should be coming around too. There should be the spring market. There should be Cottage Country, but they got a huge storm last night there. We know people that live in Port Perry. Their power went out the other day there, and it's still out today. So they don't expect it to come back till April 2nd.
Yeah, these guys are just getting hit with the weather.
Did you guys in Port Perry?
Yeah, and then North Thruberry too.
So it's only pockets, not all Port Perry. So this particular neighborhood, right? Did you get Brooklyn? Did you guys lose anything up there? No.
Surprisingly enough.
No, our cousins up north, they all lost power.
They lost
They have to
power
run
up there?
generators
It
right
looks
now.
crazy. Do you guys watch some people's Instagrams?
Yeah, like the
up
frozen
there?
trees
It's
and-
frozen
yeah.
up there. It's wild.
Yeah, we're so naive down here. Like we
we
live in
did
this bubble.
not get that. It
No.
looks like winter wonderland just
So
an hour
so
from
they're saying here Ontario Cottage Country off to a sluggish start to the spring market as a majority of properties sit for longer this year, and activity expect to remain dampened. Winterized cottages are the most in demand. They're expecting a 2024 decrease. That was last year of 1.5%, and this year I think they're expecting just almost the same, but a little bit more. They're talking about 0.2% or something.
Yeah, I'm reading that they're expecting prices to rise a little bit because there's this pent-up demand of generational families that have wanted to get into the vacation property market. Maybe they put it on hold because of capital gains or just in general because of the market, but now they might come out this year to look at cottage places. So.
They're also saying part of the problem is a lot of people bought during pandemic They bought a lot of cottages and stuff that during the pandemic, and they also had the Airbnb stuff during the pandemic. And since they did that, the local communities are saying, no, we don't want you to do Airbnb anymore. We don't want you doing short-term rentals. They have the same problem in rural Ontario than they do Toronto, is that lack of housing. So they didn't want all these rental houses being taken up by Airbnb. So that affected them. I know some people that make quite a lot of money doing Airbnb, and then the city came in and said, you're not doing that anymore. So
That's fair. And there's a lack of building up new cottages and cabins too, right? So it's not.
Just be careful yourself. If you got a client that wants to buy something and Airbnb, you've got to double check and make sure that they can Airbnb it, because a lot of communities aren't allowing it right now. And just to remind you, in Toronto, you're not allowed to do Airbnb short-term rental being 28 days or less, unless you actually live in the house yourself. And you're renting out a room, I guess, right? So.
Yeah. So OSFI is thinking about changing the way that they look at mortgages, and it's a pretty major change. And Brand, you might have more comments on it as well. But right now, we have a stress test, right, where we're stress testing plus 2% on the 5% as a test to see your legibility for that mortgage, right? And what that's done is it's prevented a lot of people who may be eligible otherwise, except for that stress test. It's really hurting a lot of people from being able to get into the market. And we've had the stress test since 2016. I think we've had it for a while.
Okay. But then they reintroduced on a 5-year fix before they
That's right.
5-year fix. So I don't know which year, but they
Yeah. So in some ways, they're saying that did work to do what it was meant to do, and now on the other hand, they're saying it's hurting people now that we're in a market like this.
So let me just go back a little bit here.
Sure.
So the reason why they introduced the stress test was not for your clients; it was for the banks.
Yes.
They're concerned about the bank's liquidity.
Yes.
They're worried about the banks giving loans that they couldn't be repaid. So even though you might think it was for your client, no, it was more for the bank.
You're correct. Yeah.
Right. So I think that happened. So that's what they're doing. So now.
Yeah, so in a way, it did help, right? It was sort of a safe way to keep things going. It slowed things right down for sure. So now they're talking about proposing it to shift to more portfolio level risk management, meaning they basically treat the entire pool of applications as an investment for that bank instead of looking at each person individually. So each bank, let me get the exact stats, banks would be restricted to issuing no more than 15% of their quarterly mortgages to borrowers whose mortgage debt exceeds 450% of their annual income, meaning they have to look at it as an entire portfolio in terms of all of the mortgages they are lending out, and they're only allowed to do 15% of the people who are going to be 450% over their annual income. So it's looking at it as a pool portfolio instead of each individual application. So still the goal, to Claire's point, is to help protect the banks and keep them going, but it's to put less attention on the individual applying for this mortgage. So it's going to make the banks take a look at their overall portfolio, and they're going to be very choosy on who they're lending money to, and instead of making a blanket decision based on that one stat. So it would take a whole year to do a full assessment of this to see if it will even roll out. So we're not even close to that, but it's something that they're talking about right now.
I can't see that working.
Can't see working?
I can't see that working.
Complicated, eh?
And just so you know what Carl just said, it's 450% times your salary. So if you made $100,000 a year, the maximum mortgage you could get would be $450,000.
No one gets it.
I mean, we're in Toronto. We always think differently, right? But outside Toronto, it makes sense, right? But it's a lot. What do you mean a lot?
I mean, compared to the salary.
Yeah, it's not practical.
Yeah.
And how many? If you did 100 mortgages, how many would be subject to stress tests? All of them be subject to stress tests.
Even the B lenders, they do stress tests.
Yeah.
Now the liquidity.
So if they're saying you're only 15% of their book of business would would have to qualify at 450. So that means 15% of the people.
Like 75%
are
can't,
tough?
or 85, yeah.
Also, you don't know the liquidity of the banks either.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so, they're thinking about doing it. So it's going to be positive, I guess, for us anyways. To get rid of the stress test, that's what you want, right?
Yeah, no, it is a positive thing, but it's going to take a whole year, and they're going to have their own challenges as well, and it's shifting the responsibility for risk management from individual borrowers basically to the financial institutions. So.
And pay attention to the politicians. Who's saying they're going to get rid of the stress test? Right?
It's true.
Okay, who wants to get in trouble?
Not me.
Right?
I don't like getting in trouble. I'm not a fighter.
So not us, not us. We're the listing agent, okay? And some agent showed up and the client made a complaint to this agent. Were you going to talk about this? Or?
No, that's okay.
Okay. What the agent had done is he'd sent his clients ahead of himself. And they opened up the lock box and they went into the house and the agent showed up after. Anybody have a problem?
Yeah.
All right. So what's the problem? Huge problem, all right? Would you be surprised if I told you that most houses today have a Ring camera?
Exactly.
I do?
Shocking.
Would it surprise you to say that the client caught the couple that were buying the house open up the lockbox and going in themselves? Would it surprise you that they actually went in there, like it's there, it's black and white, it's video, and the guy shows up later?
So bad.
Right? And then I'm looking at our instructions that we sent to the agent, our showing instructions. And it says very clearly here, your showing's been confirmed. And it says turn off the lights, leave the card, remove the shoes, lock the doors, knock first, call if you're late, and in bold and an asterisk, security camera in use.
It's very bold.
Like,
Bold letters. It actually says do not use the bathrooms, but it says security camera in use. So the guy sends his clients ahead of him, gives them the lockbox code, they open up the door, they walk in. This is going to be a $6,000 fine. Thank you very much.
I think it should be worse.
And the sellers are like very upset about it.
Yeah, of course.
It's crazy.
It's so crazy.
So, anyways, be careful out there.
And just simple rules.
And timing-wise, that situation happened last year. So they would have made the complaint right away, and we're only getting to it now in April. So just so you know.
So you know how busy they are?
Yeah, exactly. We were talking earlier about just general feeling of buyers and sellers. I'm reading a lot of uncertainty as well. I'm also reading that people are very negative and in a bad mood. I don't know. Are you guys feeling that? What's your general feeling with like the public or your buyers and clients? Like, do you feel like they're sad, depressed, or are they anxious, miserable? You're feeling it, like the energy. Like some people are saying the uncertainty that we have today is actually worse than what we were facing right at the beginning of COVID. Right at the beginning of COVID, we all thought it was going to last 2 weeks, and it was this thing, and we kind of just kept going and adapting, and then the market really turned around as well. And this time, it's just like being constantly beat up and a lot of stuff, right? I'm reading that some sellers really rushed to get their house on the market. We had some that rushed to get out there, while others are still waiting, still being a little bit more cautious, still seeing what's happening. Are you guys seeing that also? Like your sellers are just still not rushing to get to the market? No. I'm also reading that buyers, even though we have almost 25,000 listings, that they're not good listings. Like they don't like them, they're not done well, and that now they're waiting for fresh listings. So they've seen all these houses on the market since last year. There's not a lot of new stuff coming, and they don't like the inventory that's out there. And they're waiting now until April, May to see what else, like what fresh is going to come to the market. So if you have stale listings, you got to be careful because they're probably being looked at as stale listings as well. So now you got to really spend some attention to get it back to life. But
And I guess they're probably not liking them because they're unrenovated units.
they're unrenovated. They've been on the market for a while. They know that now. They're thinking, okay, now what's wrong with the house, even if they haven't seen it as well. And now they're waiting for some fresh, new spring inventory. But yeah.
I still wonder about the inventory out there, whether or not they're asking too much money for them. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
I think so. Yeah, there's a situation, I mean, this is luxury pricing, so not exactly the same, but there's a situation where somebody listed a house last year at let's call it 3.4, and it basically chased the whole market down all the way to October, 2.7, it finally sold. Same agent got the competitive listing, which is actually just a neighboring house that's a good comparable. They put it on the market for 2.7, and they sold it within a week for 2.7. So you can see the same house in almost the same market, chasing down the market, chasing, sells, that becomes your benchmark now. The next one goes on the market for that price and does it in a week. So, I mean, you're just chasing down the market if you're overpricing it as well. And there's like exact proof of that. So you've got to be really careful with your pricing nowadays.
You guys want to get silly? This is a silly thing. It says it's silly. Ontario Sunshine List. You guys familiar with the Ontario Sunshine List? Everybody familiar with that? Make over $100,000 a year, your name gets published in the newspaper. So if you want to go to find out what your neighbor's making or your mother-in-law or something there, then just go to the Sunshine List and they're there.
I think if you work for government
Employees,
yeah.
Which include teachers, police officers, nurses, right? So OPG, they're probably the big ones, right?
Cops.
Yeah, so if you're ever nosy and you want to know what your brother-in-law is making, there it is. They're saying it should be 100,000. They're saying it should be like 200,000.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, now it should be a little higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost hitting our average income, so. What are your buyers looking for in a house? I have some stats here. Someone did a survey of what buyers truly are looking for, but what are you seeing out in the marketplace? When you have a new buyer and they say, I'm looking for X, what's on their like wish list of things?
A room big enough for their future girlfriend.
Yes, big rooms. What else? What are they looking for? They say, I want to buy a house. I'm looking for
Move-in ready.
The big things are
Move-in
usually
ready.
the kitchen and the bathroom.
kitchen, bathroom.
Fully
They want it
renovated.
renovated. They want it updated. Yeah, like
Pools,
like in terms of
not as much.
appliances, you mean, or like finishes, or
No, like finishes,
Cupboards, countertops.
kitchen, yeah.
It's cosmetic.
So someone did a survey of what home buyers want, what they're looking for in their house, and the number one thing that they're looking for was a backyard. It was the top rated thing outside of the house was the backyard. And if it was groomed and landscaped, if it had a pool, it said Canadians have a love affair with outdoor space. And that's shifted a little bit since COVID, since we started spending more time at home and in nature and in our backyards and things like that. I think second was kitchens and bathrooms, so updated kitchens and bathrooms. And then the second, though, demand was for separate entrances. And that was especially true for people in BC and Ontario, where the affordability was a little bit worse, prices were a little bit higher. People are looking for separate entrances to build a bit of rental income to help pay for that mortgage. So especially in Ontario, BC, separate entrance was number 2 in terms of what they're looking for. And it does change province to province as well in terms of what they're looking for. But in general, 61% of people favored a single family home versus a condo. So we knew that. I'm not shocked by that as well. But backyard was number 1 must-have, which second was a renovated kitchen and bathroom. And then other features included things like finished basements, parking, and bungalow-style houses was really prominent right now as well for our aging population also. So I'm sure you guys see that out in the world as well. But if you've got sellers, you might want to make sure your backyard is nice and groomed and featured nicely. And if you're buyers, then you know what they're looking for as well. People with kids are far more likely to want mudrooms, and I see that with my own friend circle as well. They're all building out mudrooms into their front entryways as well. Men are 48% more likely to prioritize an entertainment room more than women. So that's your man cave and your basement and your pool table and all that stuff. And then older Canadians highly value scenic views and bungalow style homes. And that makes sense. I'm not shocked by any of that. So that seems right in line with demographics.
So that list there, new builders today, how many builders are building any of those things today?
No, when you buy new construction freehold, you have to build your own deck, you have to build your own fence, you have to do your own
drive out to
grass.
see, and all I see is townhouses.
Yeah.
They have no backyard.
I know. Even in a freehold,
They are
you actually build it. They are renovated, but even the basements, you have to pay extra to finish them as well.
So everybody wants these things and nobody's building them. So what's going on?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture?
I know. It's true. We're just building
I was
little.
actually talking to Nelson about this earlier. I went to go see some new construction homes in the area, just to see their layouts. The backyards are actually, even though they're the same lot size as my house, the backyards are smaller.
Is it because the houses are bigger?
I think the houses.
They just
Or
prioritize the
longer.
house.
Or they're pushing it more back and having more of the front.
Yeah, so it's not going to fly. People want the house in the backyard, right?
And they want more parking space in the front. So the backyard was like smaller than mine, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
They can build more houses.
But it's the same lot size.
I think in the end, people just want it all, though, right? They want the big house, they want 4 bedrooms, they want it renovated, they want the separate entrance, they want the ravine lot, like they just want it all, and for $1 million.
The layouts don't make sense either. It's
Yeah,
an
I
open
know.
concept on the main floor, and then upstairs is where all the square footage is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's interesting.
I'll tell you though, we had one of Raises had a client that I think I mentioned last week too. They had a basement apartment, and they're getting kicked out, and they're looking for another rental unit there. And then somebody convinced them to buy a $450,000 condo, and they did. Right? So, but the point is, so there's a person that's prepared to take little baby steps, right? They're not looking in for
That's right.
their ever home. They're looking at into
That's the right way to do it.
You know, it's a startup home. They're going to
Yeah.
build up from there. It's not going to be the forever home.
No, it's not how it
But
was.
at
in
least
your
they're getting
day.
in the market, right? So if you got clients that, you need to take that little baby step, get the kids out and make little baby
I think it's
steps.
important to educate your younger clients' parents on that, because your generation was a little different. You guys had a house and it was big enough for the whole family, and even if it wasn't big enough, we all crammed into little bedrooms. We didn't care, right? And now our generation, the wrong thinking is they want that house right away. And I think in today's world with our prices, you do have to take those baby steps to get into the condo. Then you do a semi, and then you
Or
kind
the
of grow from there.
opposite. They were raised in tiny little houses, then
That's
they
true.
bought giant houses with big childhood bedrooms for us, and now we can't afford
No,
that.
yeah, now we
for
want
our
that. That's what we had.
We
and
want what
want
our
it.
parents
But
have.
if you do it right, you're going to do the condo thing and get into the market and kind of grow up. But yeah, it's not easy for sure.
I was reading this article here about condos, going back to condos. There's a company called Fengate, which is a developer, and they've developed for the last bunch of years. They've been around for quite a long time there. But it had some numbers here I thought was kind of fun. They're saying here that the thought of launching a new condo in today's market or in the next 18 to 24 months is not an option for them. They still have to make money though. But they do have 25,000 residential units in a 10-year pipe plan. So it's not units, it's vacant land and it's other units there. So they've got in the pipeline, but they're not prepared to do anything yet. I thought this was interesting. Developing apartments. So the idea is to take these condo developments and not make them condos, make them rental units, purpose-built rental. And that's what these guys are doing in the meantime. But they're saying here that developing apartments doesn't bring in the 20% plus return in a hot condo market. So somebody's asked me before, how much do builders or developers make on condominiums? Like, what's the profit margin for a developer? And here she's saying right there, 20%. So if they sold a $1 million condo, they're expecting to have a $200,000 profit. So half that would be half that, right? Does that seem more or less than what you were thinking?
That seems high, yeah.
Seems high to me too, because I thought their profit would be like 50, 60 grand.
That might be in a hot condo market.
In a hot condo market, 20%.
Yeah.
So in today's,
Yeah.
they're breaking even, right? So they're saying here that they can get these construction loans from the government as long as they got 10 or 15% of the units are going to be affordable, and that's the direction they're going. So they're not just sitting around waiting for the market to get better. They're developing, but they're going to make them purpose-built rentals.
Yeah, we're seeing that. I think that's going to be. You might have an oversupply of rentals at some point, though.
Well,
too, if they're not
sometimes
careful.
that's what they're saying now too. That 2 years, 5 years from now, there's going to be too many rentals.
As soon as affordability comes down, all the renters are going to want to buy again. And but they'll adapt. Developers will pivot, right? They are now. There's a good article in REM by one of our own Century 21 leaders, Todd Shayak, as well. If you're not on REM magazine, you can get your own subscription as well. But he's talking about in a slower market that we're in right now, now is your time for smart realtors to gear up. We had this question at Pilates the other day. One of our friends said, are you gearing up in this slower market? And at first we were like, no, we're like holding back and saving money. But there are saying that now is the time to gear up, not in terms of necessarily spending money on your marketing, but hunkering down and really getting your business plan ready. Right now, we're in a pause market. It hasn't just died. We're not in a recession. It's just a little pause. It's a wait and see. We're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen, and we're going to adapt no matter what. So in that time, while we're waiting and seeing, it's a perfect time for you guys. I know you're going to maybe hate this because you're all going to run out of here after, but it's a good time to get back into the office, especially because not just because of getting into the office, but it's to see us. Like, we're in the office every day, right? The three of us, Sanik, Nelson, Yusen, Ginny, we're all here. We're all here to talk to each other, and that's how you learn, right? And we're saying, come in here and talk to each other. Don't come in here and go on your computer and work on MLS and look at listings, because that's not going to help your business. And Claire and I were talking the other day about prospecting, right? Like, we need to really get back into the art of prospecting, and it doesn't need to be what Claire would necessarily say, which is your cold calling and not, but it's, you can lean over on this side too, which is your online social media, your open houses, but some level of prospecting every single day. And that's what you can be doing right now to build your business, because when the market does pick up, and it will, right? We've already seen it happen in a really short time frame. It's going to pick up again, and you want to be ready for that. So coming back to the office, partnering with us, making a business plan, and just getting back out there into the world, and especially the people that are used to working from home, may be a nice time to kind of balance that out a little bit and do some working at home and come to the office and balance it out, right? But be proactive and stay informed. We've got Realtor Quest coming up in May, so that will be a good time to come and network and learn from each other. They've got a killer keynote speaker. I know you're super excited. Did you guys see the announcement of who the speaker is?
He owns a house.
Does he own, it's Pitbull, by the way. Does he own multiple investment properties, or?
He's here to tell a story.
He's here to tell his motivational story, right?
He owns a house though.
But beyond that, which is super interesting, there will be a lot of other good speakers and things like that. We'll be there as well. It's 2 days, May 14 and 15. But we do encourage you to do that kind of stuff, especially right now while you can.
Yeah, and I think you should also readdress your pillars, right? What are your pillars? Pillar meaning what's your activities? What are you doing to generate business? Right? Are you going to touch on that too? You're going to go back on that? Yeah. I'm still saying that I've talked to somebody last week saying that their suggestion, not my, their suggestion for new agents was to get a farm or have a farm. Or
If it's in your archetype.
if it's in your archetype, and Katelyn's going to talk about your mindset, but and I've said this before. I don't know a top producer who doesn't have a farm area. Anybody else?
I do know one that does not farming, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's true.
But I would say the majority, yeah. And I would say it's the highest hourly.
Okay, does she have a farm area?
Yes. Does Omar Abbas have a farm area?
Does Omar Abbas have a farm area? No, but
He has a network.
But he has a network.
Okay, so
these are the archetypes where they come into play.
Does do you guys at home? Do you guys get flyers in your house? And are those agents doing any business? The people that give you flyers?
I'll be devil's advocate and say a lot of flyers I get are because they had one listing on the street and they're flying. It's a mix.
In Pickering, I would say they do
Yes,
very well.
I agree.
Where I live, yes, the guys that I'm receiving flyers for, they are very good agents.
So I know somebody.
Who just did that?
That was really quiet about
Where was that from?
Peter.
I know somebody who delivered 150 flyers in like a half hour with him and 2 kids.
Yeah.
So you do that once a month.
It's consistency.
You know, you're not spending $1.20 for have some postage. Where else you're doing it yourself, and hopefully you're talking to people.
Yeah. There's a girl at Etobicoke. She's a good farmer. She's a bit quirky, but I think she's a very good farmer at what she does, right? And if you sign up for her newsletters, you'll get all her quirky stories as well. But she's a true farmer, #1 in Etobicoke.
Yeah.
I would think that listings that used to be for sale, I think, would be an option if you're built that way.
Yeah, if it's in your farm area, right? And
I would think that anybody that's listed with, are those guys still around, right at home, or no, not right at home, property guys, or...
I see the signs on the sign.
I haven't seen them in a while, actually.
Property guys had a real push. I think they spent all their marketing money. They were trying to sell franchises. They really had a strong push about 6 months ago on that, but all of a sudden they disappeared, so I think they ran out of money.
Yeah.
It's not a truck full of property guys. The whole entire
Oh,
team
okay.
is full of property guys over there.
Right, so but where are they today? Like, I don't know, man. But I think there's, was it PG Direct, I think is the name of the company?
yeah, that's
So those guys are all for sale by owners, and it all says phone the seller direct for appointments. Hello?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, hello, do you have a buyer? No, I don't. I'm pre-inspecting properties for my buyers. It's a service I do. I don't let them see any houses until I preview them. All right?
Yeah, so all the ones you've mentioned. So we did the archetypes last week with the agents, which I found was very interesting because then I did a poll at the end of see which category you fell into. So your category that you're talking about is called the prospectors group. They're people that like to go after the business and they like to work with complete strangers. So they do things like farming, FSBOs, door knocking. They go directly for the people. I only had a few people that were prospectors, which was interesting. And then you had the converters, which surprised me even more. These are people that prefer the business to come to them and work with complete strangers. So that would be online lead generation, open houses. That was like my lowest amount of people, which shocked me because it's the most questions I get from any agent is, do you have leads? And they are the least converting, like I have the least amount of agents in that category, but the most amount of agents asking about that type of business. In the prospectors, it's only 1 to 4% conversion rate of all those activities that they do, so they have to generate a lot. The converters is a 1 to 5% conversion rate of all those strangers. Where most of the agents fall is in networking. And these are agents like Steve, I was mentioning, Sanic. A lot of people are networkers in real estate. You guys are really good people, and you prefer to go directly for the business like a prospector would, but you prefer to go after business from people that you already know. These are people that are doing networking events, and they're really bad at technology, which makes a lot of sense to me, because a lot of the people that are good networkers are not good at having a CRM and are very disorganized with having a database and all that, but they have so many people that business just comes to you guys naturally in a way. And I'd say most agents are networkers. And then there's the other group, which is the marketers. Actually, sorry, the networkers have about 85% conversion rate, which is actually insane. Marketers are people that prefer, again, business to come to you, but with people that you also know. And these are the people that you're going to find on social media. What else do we do? Mostly branding, social media type stuff online, doing webinars, seminars, doing educational type content. They have a 40% conversion rate. But it was interesting to see that there's not as many prospectors anymore, which is, I don't know, they should, because like you're saying, like they're like the highest amount, they're the best agents out there are the prospectors, but there's not as many of them out there anymore.
The least too, yeah.
And their ROI is the least, which is interesting. But I don't know if that's just, things have changed over the years. Do you find mostly networkers, though, I feel like are still
so,
like the...
I have a comment. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're a networker, what are your pillars? Like, what's your routine?
If you're a networker, your pillars are
events.
client appreciation events. So every quarter you're bringing all your clients together. Maybe you're doing client dinners. You're going to real estate conferences and meeting realtors. Webinars was for my marketers.
Oh, yeah, true. I could see it as a networker, too.
Yeah, it's mostly just people to people. Like you're going to dinners, social
Pop-bys.
events. Pop-bys actually was one of theirs. That Buffini. It would be Buffini style people. Very like people that really like people.
I'm just thinking like you.
There's no prospecting. It's just
But you said
It's organic.
networkers aren't good at technology.
they're not good at technology.
gonna say,
Or that was their
put her-
weakness was technology.
Right.
A marketer's weakness is they don't like to do in-person events, like, or they don't like to be people to people. They like to be behind the computer. A prospector's weakness is they're bad at follow-up. They want to just work with people that are ready to do a deal today, which would be a Mike Ferry type of thing. And then the converters, the online people, are actually really good at nurturing relationships and working with technology. So very interesting that there's weaknesses and
So
strengths.
if nobody knows what Katelyn's talking about here, on YouTube we have our C21 Fulton agent training, and we did a session last Wednesday on this, all things that she's talking about, and it's recorded, and it's on the YouTube C21 Fulton agents, right?
Yeah. So I'd recommend figuring out what you are.
But I want to get back to the networking. If majority of people are networking, okay, and I don't know if they're still doing it to you or not.
I don't even know if they are actually doing it, if they're actually doing the networking, but if you did say that you prefer to go after the business and you prefer to work with people you know, now you know that you are a networker and you should be doing those activities. If you're not doing them, you should be doing pop-bys and hosting client events and doing like morales, doing picnics and stuff like that. Like those are the activities you should be doing.
By the way, too, you can have crossover into others.
Sometimes
so
you have two.
You're not just boxed into like one. You might have excelled being a prospector and can actually do follow up really well, and now do a little bit of networking on the side. But you can dip into each of them too.
So you almost have to mix it up a little bit.
They said you're usually about two of them.
I'm thinking if I'm a networker, I'm doing what you just said. How many agents here have client events? How many agents here have picnics? How many, like, I know the people that do it is very strong and very good, but majority of people will not do that, I don't think.
Probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not taking advantage of their
I know, so my question,
abilities.
what does a network do? What does a networker do other than those things?
They don't. That's the problem. So this was the entire session last week was don't do stuff you're not good at. So if you're a prospector, or maybe that's a bad one. If you're a marketer, I'm not going to be picking up the phone. So I'm not going to force myself to do something because another agent's really good at it. I'm going to stick to social media and I'm going to hire a videographer and I'm going to do all the things that would benefit my type of personality. I'm not going to dabble into the things that I want to be good
Can you
at.
be a networker and just have people on drip campaigns, email campaigns?
So that was one of their technologies for a networker. They have a basic CRM that does monthly newsletters.
All right, so for those people at home, we do have the CR Works.
Yeah.
Just put all you do is first name, last name, email address, and they get a newsletter every month. So it doesn't get any more simple than that. Right?
Exactly. So they were saying the guys that have advanced technology are the ones that can work with online leads and all that stuff. But yeah, networkers are only working with a very basic CRM. Very, very basic. You don't, even websites, a networker doesn't even need a big website. They just need to have a presence online and actually Google business page where you have your clients' testimonials. That works out the best for a networker. So someone can Google them.
But you can do both, I think. I think you'd be a network and do all those types of things as well. So generate. I don't know.
But you don't need to follow. But I know you want everyone to.
I
So
know.
that's okay. Everyone needs to call and fire
This is
when
the
they're
problem
ready,
with
okay?
realtors is that we want to be everything that we're not. And so this archetypes was actually just a research study done recently. This was done by T360 where they did research and they find that agents want to be all of them. So they do everything and then they're bad at everything because they're not focusing in on the things they should be doing. And that's been the biggest problem over the years is trying to blend the old school ways and the new school ways. And then everyone's trying to be bad at everything. instead of just focusing in on the good.
Good.
It's a debate of the Fulton family.
No, there's business out there for sure. Right?
Tons of
100%,
business.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready for some up-to-date stuff?
My two stuff's too negative.
Yeah, get it out.
Negativity.
Okay, so this week we have some exciting things. If you've been getting our emails, the C2 on Canada Open House Blitz is back. They switched it up this year. Over the last few years, what they've been doing is getting the agents to promote their open house to get guests to come in, and then the guests that come get some sort of gift card, a couple $1,000. This year they switched it up and they're going to reward the agents that are actually doing the open houses instead. So the more open houses that you guys do this coming weekend on Saturday, Sunday, the more entries you get in. So every open house you do, you get an entry in to win $2,100 cash. 3 people will win that. So if you are, I'll send out more information this week on how you guys can let them know, but you'll basically submit it to head office by next Monday, let them know what open houses you did, and then you get an entry into that prize. So if you're thinking about doing that, either hosting another agent's open house, maybe you're a listing agent here and you've got an open house that needs some, put your hand up, volunteer to do some open houses, or volunteer to have your open house on available. I'll market it to the office. If you guys have a vacant listing, even better. A vacant listing would be good. Maybe you can do a bunch of vacant houses at each hour if you want. Do it. They didn't say how long the open house had to be, so if you guys want to just jump around open houses all weekend, do 2 or 3 each day, and then get in 4 or 5 entries, you can do that. So I'll submit that. Wednesday, I'm just going to replay my webinar that I did a few months ago on how to host an open house. So if you guys are thinking about doing it, then you guys can rewatch that webinar. Ginny can help you guys with directional signs, all that. They've got sign-in sheets, everything that you need for your open house. They're going to submit on the resource center. Is that anything anyone's interested in? So I can keep an eye out for people. No. Morelle's hard no. Got it.
Yep, she's not an open house girl. That's okay.
Okay. So if you are interested in doing open houses, let me know, and I'll tell you guys how to submit. Other things that are happening next week is Sanix Day. Sanix on, what's the date of it? I'm trying to see. On April 9th, Sanix is going to be hosting a tech day in the office. What tech are you going to be doing?
What tech do you want to do? Anything anyone's struggling with, or you want to learn more about? Or
I'm doing a lot of ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is the main focus.
one. How to Google.
Realm. We'll do a little bit of realm.
You don't have a Mac?
I was going to say, do you use a Mac?
You don't have a Mac computer, right? Yeah. I have seen that. I don't know how to solve that one. Maybe that's a good. I'll put it on Sanix list. I haven't actually been able to solve it.
All right, that'll be on Sanix list. If you guys have any tech problems, bring them to Sanix next Wednesday. I think we might even do. It's going to be mostly maybe DigiSign if anyone needs help with that.
And then a little bit of Canva.
Some Canva. Wow.
I have a.
Okay, so this is Sanix Day. It's going to be recorded too, or just in person?
Yeah, if you want to record it.
And do you want to know who's going to come? Do you want RSVPs?
I want RSVPs for this, and I want laptops, and I want all the good stuff.
Okay, so RSVP to you or to Ginny?
Me.
Okay.
I'll put out an email. Okay, so we got that. Varan also has something coming up on April 10th. It's a webinar at 10 a.m. What's this thing called? The What's Next for the Housing Market. So I know you've got a bunch of guest speakers, right? Sorry, I'm reading it all now.
This is similar. Okay.
Yeah, so you've got a coach coming in, Marianne, who we really like, and then you've got an economist from BMO coming in. That's going to do a market outlook webinar on April 10th at 10 a.m. I'll send out more for that. That's Varan's team's going to be hosting that. So that should be a good one as well.
And how long is that one?
It's an hour.
1 hour.
So 1 hour and 30 minutes.
That's pretty good.
1 hour and 30 minutes.
An hour and a half.
Is it Sanix the same day?
Sanix is all day, probably.
He's the different days.
Different days.
Sanix on the 9th.
Wait, you're gonna come soon?
Tech day.
I just want to know how to break into the password.
Perfect.
I'm gonna teach you how to use Stratus, okay?
There you go.
There you go.
Realm. Yeah, Realm might also be on the list. So if you guys have Realm questions, I would say bring your tech questions if you've got any. Another event that's coming up April 15th to 17th, we think Mike Ferry's coming to town. It might actually be Larry Kozak.
Is it Larry project or Mike?
I don't know. We've got conflicting ads
Okay.
over here.
Mike just,
I've got one that says Larry and I got one that says Mike, so I don't know sure.
I think it'll be Larry.
depending on how he feels.
Yeah, so I know they just celebrated Mike's 50th anniversary at the Century 21 event last week. He's got to be, what, in his 80s?
It's 80.
80. Okay. So I think it'll probably be Larry, but this one's about, I think we've done this one before.
It's a 3 days mini retreat.
Mini retreat. Are you going to that?
But did you see
All right.
the Canadian dollars are less?
It's actually not too bad, to be honest.
How
It's
much is it?
$250 US for Canadian residents and $350 US for
It's
US
always like that.
citizens.
Residents,
No,
yeah.
Canadians what? 350 Canadian?
No,
$350 American for US residents and $250 US for Canadian residents. So it's cheaper for the Canadians.
So Canadians 250.
Well,
plus
it's
350.
still,
Yeah.
the net is, yeah.
Or if you're in the room, I have a promo code to get another $25 off.
Works out to $350 US or $350 Canadian.
I will say that's super cheap, especially considering it's a 3-day event. I've seen the 1-day events go for like $800 plus. So that's actually not a bad one. I think might have been to a retreat like this in the very beginning of our career. So if you were on my prospector list or you're thinking about scripting, being a listing agent, stuff like that, this might be a good event for you guys to go to. And Shiv will be there as well.
This is a good event.
And for those who've never been to Mike Ferry, you might think he's phone call, strangers phone call. No, he's also objection handling, which
Yeah.
is a skill, I believe, as well. So
It is.
It's also
Objection handling.
objection handling.
Yeah. I mean, he's very strong.
Yeah. So there's a lot happening. And when's Realtor Quest? That's May?
May 14, 15.
Okay. Perfect. April's almost here. I feel like April we have a lot going on.
Yes. We're already in the second quarter. Right? We got 3 left
Almost,
for the
yeah.
year. Anything else, Claire, for you? Or anyone have listings you want to talk about? Parvesh, can we get an end of meeting
Yeah, can
update?
we get an update on this
Do we,
sign
do we
back?
get a sign back or what's
I'm
happening?
going to sign back.
Yay!
Yay! That's what these meetings are for.
Let's just get some deals done. That would be great.
All right.
Sure. Yep.
Clarington.
Okay.
At the border of Oshawa and Clarington.
It's in Clarington.
3 full bathroom upstairs,
Okay.
1 main floor. Totally renovated.
5-bedroom, sorry, how many? Upstairs, okay.
Main
Totally
floor.
renovated, main floor
Every
office.
square
I'm repleting
inch
it for online too, yeah.
And listed for 1.1 million.
Listed for 1.1, not holding.
I don't think I'm a
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So that's Shiv's listing.
For 850,
Okay.
totally renovated. 4 bathroom, 3 bedroom in Ajax,
Okay.
Westney, and just north of Glassman.
Good.
And
Nice.
also listed townhouse.
Keep
John
going.
Body. I sold number 11, listed number 5 bills,
Yeah.
and for $900,000.
Nice.
Totally updated, 4 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bathroom.
Great. All on the market right now or coming to the market?
Coming this week.
Coming this week. So that's good.
Fun.
So I think we're going to hit 25,000
And I have a
listings.
really good house that I need to sell it. I thought I would have multiple offer, but it didn't. 25 Windsor,
25 Windsor,
totally updated.
that Ajax?
No basement.
Yeah.
It's wartime home.
wartime
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
no
And
basement.
garage,
Yeah.
40 by 100, 10-foot lot.
Yeah.
2 bedroom, 1 bathroom. Every square inch has been renovated, gutted and renovated. And this for 625.
Wow.
I thought I would have got much
Insane,
offer, but
yeah.
No offers.
Interesting.
A 2-bedroom only or? Yeah.
And no basement, like the little wartime home.
Yeah.
No second washroom?
This is good for your downsizer clients. This is what people should be running to.
For like first time buyers that don't want a condo, something like that.
Yeah, condo alternative or
Can't
downsizer.
afford it, you're still in Ajax.
Yeah, exactly.
2 bedroom. Driver hold 4 cars and so on.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not selling.
Shows well.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's on it, shows.
How
I'd
come
love
you, how
those
come you didn't buy
houses.
it?
Yeah.
My clients didn't want it.
Why?
What was the feedback?
They wanted a little more space.
Okay.
And then the 1 bedroom in the front
Okay.
Mm.
kind of threw them off because the 1 bedroom right in the front there. But
Okay.
it's nice, shows well.
I could put blinds there.
That was called an objection
Let's do
handle
another
right
deal.
there.
I told them, I said, we'll put tints that you could only see out and in.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, good.
I honestly thought that would go.
Yeah, that price
Yeah.
point, yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
Stay 2 weeks in the market.
Interesting.
Okay, so then otherwise we're away on Monday.
I have
So
a 3,000 square feet 5-bathroom, finished basement, saltwater pool for $1.2 million.
So lots of price points. Yep,
Three
1.2
upstairs,
would be.
For one in the basement,
Wow.
$1.2 million. Just listed 3 weeks ago.
Holding offers?
We had 2 offers already, but we didn't accept for a reason.
Yeah.
And now they're more motivated.
Shiv, did you say you do not hold off offers, or you do?
No, I do hold. Last week we sold 4 listings, and everyone had a sold over asking.
And they all had offer dates?
Everyone had 1 offer.
Everyone had offer dates? Everyone had offer dates?
Everyone had 1 offer only and sold over ask.
All we need is one. Yep. Yeah, 27% we know are selling, right?
So how many listings we have, Claire? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Almost 24,700.
I think we'll hit 20.
And 3,800.
Depends on how you look at it.
As of 3 days ago. 3,800 sold 3 days ago. What do you have?
What, sales you mean? My sales, I got about 46.
How come I got 3,827?
I count everything. I don't dissect anything, so I count everything.
So we counted.
I count parking lots. I count everything. So I count parking lots. Everything. I don't spend any time. I try to do
Just
it for the
listings.
percentage rather than the number.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I wouldn't skew it that much.
I'm saying because we have the same number of listings, I have same thing 24 something, and my sales shows 3,800.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll hit 25. Are you checking right now, Sanik? I think we hit 25. If not today, then soon. But I think we'll hit 25,000. Yeah, for sure.
I'm getting so many listings in every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Most of them are yours. You should stop that.
I don't have that.
Okay.
Someone else.
I'm done.
Okay. We're away next week, so you're going to be running
Oh, you're
a
back-
meeting
I thought
maybe
you were
with
back on
Sanik
Sunday
again.
night.
No, that's not fair.
Physically, we were.
Maybe we'll do a work from a
So
home
who's doing
online
it
thing.
next? Or Santa and I doing next week?
You want to do
Ooh,
Monday
Sanik's
meeting?
back
it's
on
a whole,
Monday
It's a
meeting?
whole week of Sanik. Tech Day, Monday meeting.
Wait, are you here next week?
No, not for Monday
Physically.
meeting. All right. Well, have a good week, everybody. Let us know if we can help with anything.
Okay, have fun.
Take care.